All right, everybody. Ready to talk about landing your dream job working with animals?
Let's dive in. I think a lot of people think this type of job is all about cuddling cute creatures.
Right, like who wouldn't want to get paid to hang out with animals all day?
But there's a whole lot more to it.
That's what we're diving into today. How to ace those interview questions for a live animal distribution manager.
And we're tapping into the awesome guides from RoleCatcher to help you really understand what those interview questions are getting at.
They have some seriously in-depth stuff, and it's not just about loving animals, which is obviously important,
Yeah,
but it goes way beyond that.
way beyond.
Like, I was blown away by all the regulations and logistics involved.
Oh, it's a whole world unto itself, for sure.
It is, but that's what makes it so interesting.
Right. It's not your average desk job.
Not even close. So for our listeners out there, think of this deep dive as your secret weapon for interview success. First up, how do you tackle that question? Describe your experience managing live animal distribution operations.
Ah, that's a big one. And it's where you need to showcase more than just your love for furry friends. It's about showing you understand the operational side of things. Have you done any route analysis? Do you consider things like weather or traffic patterns when you're planning a transport?
It's like thinking several steps ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've had to select the right mode of transport, like deciding between trucks, planes, or even specialized vehicles, depending on the animal.
Because a goldfish isn't going to be shipped the same way as a horse.
Exactly. And don't be shy about using keywords straight from the job description. Did they mention international shipping experience? Great, leave that in, even if it was just for a school project or volunteering.
I love that. It shows you've really done your homework.
Absolutely. And it proves you're not just randomly applying to jobs, you're genuinely interested in this role.
It's all about standing out from the crowd.
Exactly.
Now, I notice a big emphasis in the RoleCatcher guide on animal welfare throughout the transport process. So it's not just about getting them from point A to point B, but ensuring their well-being every step of the way.
Right. And that's huge GE in this field. It's where you can showcase that you're not just about logistics, you're also passionate about ethical treatment. Think about a time you had to monitor temperature or ventilation during a transport, or maybe you collaborated with a vet to create a less stressful loading process.
Those are the details that really paint a picture of your experience.
Exactly. Show, don't just tell.
Love it.
And even if you're just starting out in your career and maybe haven't had tons of hands-on experience, you can still demonstrate that you're proactive. You can say something like, while I haven't personally managed any international transports yet, I made it a point to research the International Air Transport Association's guidelines.
Oh, the IATA.
Yes, the IAT, to understand those best practices for long flights.
That's a great example. It shows you're already thinking ahead.
Exactly, because this field is always changing, so showing that you're eager to learn and stay updated is key.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of showcasing your knowledge, let's talk about a question that always seems to come up. How do you ensure the safety and welfare of live animals during transportation and distribution?
This one's all about those ethical considerations we were talking about and knowing your regulations inside and out.
Okay, so not just rattling off a list of rules.
No. It's about understanding the WHY behind them and how you've applied them in real-life situations.
So dropping names like the USDA or APHS shows you've done your research. But how do you weave that into a compelling answer?
So let's say you were transporting exotic birds, right? And suddenly, boom, a heat wave hits. You know those standard protocols aren't going to cut it, so you consult those USDA guidelines and you work with your team to add extra cooling measures during the transport.
Quick thinking.
Exactly. It's about showing you can act fast and make those critical decisions when animal welfare is on the line.
Because sometimes those guidelines are just a starting point. You have to be able to adapt to the unexpected.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the animals, but what about the people involved? Question number 3. How do you manage and motivate a team of drivers and logistics coordinators?
This is where you showcase those leadership skills. Are you all about collaboration and open communication, or are you more results-oriented? Whatever your style, be authentic and tell a story.
Oh, I love a good story.
Right, because a story makes it real. Let's say you had a tight deadline to get a shipment of horses to a competition. The pressure is on, right? So you make sure your team is on the same page, delegate tasks effectively, and provide constant updates and encouragement, and boom, the horses arrive on time in tip-top shape.
Everybody wins. The horses, the team, and you demonstrate those awesome leadership qualities. But what if someone's early in their career, they don't have a ton of management experience yet?
Think smaller. Leading a group project in school, or even just organizing a volunteer event, Those all count. Leadership skills are transferable, so focus on those core elements.
Love it. It's not about the title, it's about those core skills. Communication, delegation, you name it.
Exactly.
Now, before we dive into more questions, I want to touch on something really cool that RoleCatcher offers. Their AI tools. These things are like having a secret weapon for interview prep.
Oh, I was so impressed by these. So you've crafted your amazing answer to that leadership question right, but you're not 100% sure if it hits the mark.
We've all been there.
Right. Well, you can actually plug your answer into RoleCatcher, and their AI will analyze it based on the specific job description and even the company's culture. It's like, whoa, talk about personalized feedback.
It's like having a personal career coach at your fingertips. I also love their video practice feature. You can record yourself answering questions and get feedback on your delivery, even your body language.
It's like having a practice run, but in the comfort of your own home.
No more sweaty palms. Okay, back to the questions. Up next, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of budgets. The question: describe your experience managing transportation budgets and achieving cost savings.
Ah, yes, the money question.
Right. It feels like a balancing act,
Yeah.
being cost-effective while still ensuring ethical practices.
Absolutely. And this is where those concrete numbers come in. Don't just say, I saved the company money. Instead, try, by implementing a new route optimization software, I reduced our fuel costs by 12%.
Oh,
Right?
that's impressive.
And it shows the tangible impact of your actions, but also don't be afraid to mention how you balance those cost savings with ethical considerations. Like maybe you found a way to transport those animals that was cheaper. A&D reduced their travel time.
A win-win.
Exactly. And that's what's going to make you stand out as an applicant.
Okay, so you wowed them with your financial savvy, but what about your career goals? The RoleCatcher guides have a whole section on career progression. It's like a roadmap of where this role can take you.
I loved that part. It's really helpful to see that path laid out from entry level all the way up to management.
Yeah. And they don't just list job titles. They break down the skills and experience you need to level up along the way.
And they even mention specific certifications that can boost your resume, like becoming a certified professional in animal welfare.
Oh, wow. The CPAW.
Yes, the CPAW, or the Certified Logistics Professional, the CLP.
Those are some serious credentials.
They show a potential employer that you're really invested in this field, that you're committed to staying at the forefront.
It's that dedication to continuous learning that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to those tough interview questions. We've covered some big ones, but there are a few more that often trip people up.
Oh, for sure. Like those curveball questions designed to see how you handle pressure. Like, tell me about a time you had to manage a difficult transportation or logistics situation.
Oh, yeah, that one. Everyone's favorite.
Yeah,
Not, but it's a chance to show them what you're made of.
it is. And when you're telling your story, use the STAR method.
Star.
Yeah. Situation, task, action, result. It helps you structure your answer in a clear and compelling way.
Okay, I like it. Break it down for me.
So first, set the scene, describe the situation you were in and the task at hand. Then outline the actions you took to tackle the challenge. And finally, what was the result? What was the positive outcome?
So instead of saying the truck broke down and it was a total disaster,
Yeah.
you say something like, we were transporting primates to a sanctuary and we had a truck breakdown on the way. I immediately contacted our emergency response team, arranged for a backup vehicle, and kept the sanctuary updated to make sure the animals' needs were met during the delay.
Perfect. You've clearly outlined the situation, your actions, and the positive result. You kept those animals safe and sound.
Crisis averted. Which is a pretty regular Tuesday in this line of work, I imagine.
Pretty much. Okay, ready for another challenging question.
Hit me.
How about this? Describe your experience implementing process improvements in transportation or logistics operations.
Okay, that sounds a little intimidating. Like, do I need to have invented a self-driving animal transport truck or something?
Yeah. Not at all. It could be something as simple as streamlining communication protocols to reduce delays, or finding a more efficient way to load animals to minimize their stress.
So it's about those everyday wins that add up to big improvements over time.
Exactly. Maybe you noticed that your company's system for handling paperwork was disorganized, and you took the initiative to switch to a digital system that reduced errors and saved everyone time.
That's huge, especially when you're dealing with time-sensitive shipments.
Exactly. And it shows that you're not afraid to embrace technology to improve efficiency, which is super important these days in the logistics world.
Absolutely. Speaking of technology, can we circle back to RoleCatcher's AI tools?
Oh, yeah, those are game changers.
Because remembering all these tips is one thing, but actually nailing the delivery during an interview is another.
Right. And that's where those AI tools come in. You can practice your answers, get personalized feedback, even work on your body language, all with the help of AI. It's like having an interview coach in your pocket.
Sign me up. Okay, one last question that often throws people off. How do you ensure timely and accurate documentation and reporting of live animal transportation and distribution operations?
Ah, the paperwork.
It might not be the most glamorous part of the job,
Right.
but it's essential.
Absolutely essential. This is where you get to geek out about your organizational skills, your attention to detail. If you love spreadsheets and color coding, let that shine through.
Because in this field, a misplaced decimal point can have serious consequences.
No pressure. Right. But seriously, emphasize your experience with relevant software programs, your ability to keep meticulous records, and your understanding of compliance regulations.
So instead of just saying, I'm a stickler for the rules,
Which, let's be honest, doesn't sound super exciting.
not really. You'd say something like, I'm proficient in using various transportation management software. I can generate reports, track shipments, and I make sure all documentation is accurate and up to date. I understand that maintaining these records is crucial, not just for legal reasons, but for ethical ones too.
Now that's an answer that shows you're on top of your game.
Wow, we have covered so much ground today, from those tough interview questions to career paths, and even how AI can give you an edge in your job search.
It's amazing how much goes into landing a job like this.
It really is.
Mhm.
But even with all the prep in the world, this field is full of surprises, and that's where the RoleCatcher guides really impress me. They have a whole section on common challenges.
Yeah, because it's one thing to ace an interview, but then you got to walk the walk, right?
Exactly. And one of the biggest challenges they highlighted was balancing efficient delivery with ethical considerations. Which makes sense because you want to get those animals where they're going quickly, but not if it compromises their safety.
It's a constant balancing act.
Totally.
Right.
So let's say you're facing a major delay. Could be anything, a storm, a road closure, even just a flat tire.
Oh, it happens.
What's your first move as a live animal distribution manager?
Always be proactive. Have those backup plans in place for common disruptions. Know your alternative routes. Have backup transportation options. All those what-if scenarios.
Preparation is key.
Absolutely. But also communication. Keep your clients in the loop every step of the way, especially when there are hiccups.
Transparency is so important. No one likes being left in the dark.
Exactly. And that's where your deep understanding of those ethical considerations comes in. You can explain to those clients why you might need to take a longer route to avoid bad weather, or why you might need to make an unexpected stop to let the animals rest.
It's about being their advocate, even when it impacts those bottom lines.
Yes.
Wow, this role is truly so much more than just a job.
You're not just a logistics expert, you're a voice for these animals.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Hmm.
Well, I think we've covered a ton of ground today, and hopefully our listeners are feeling pumped and prepared to ace those live animals distribution manager interviews.
I think they've got this. And remember, RoleCatcher is an amazing resource, not just for this role, but for so many others. Their guides are packed with insights, and their AI tools can seriously up your interview game.
It's like having a career coach right in your pocket. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking for that next step in your career journey, be sure to check them out.
You won't regret it.
And remember, keep that passion for animals alive and keep those career goals high. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of knowledge and career exploration.